This is another episode of Dangerous Ideas. My name is Sean Kanungo. I'm an innovation strategist. What we do is we break down concepts and frameworks that will change your life. Oh, wow. Hey everyone, my name is Sean Kanungo. This is another episode of Dangerous Ideas. In this podcast, what we do is we break down concepts and frameworks that will change your life, change your business, change your career, but most importantly, it will change your life. I don't think I've done a podcast in a while like this. January was nuts. February was nuts. Just traveling across the world. And a couple weeks ago, I actually took my family for a week to Disneyland, literally taking 3 kids to Disneyland for a week, 4 days in Disneyland, 2 days in Universal. Right now, as I'm sitting here in this chair, this is my vacation right now, okay? Doing this podcast is my vacation. No, but you know, one of the beautiful things about going with your kids on a vacation for a week, it's incredible. Seeing Disneyland in the eyes of your children is one of the greatest things in the world. Like the first day is incredible because they don't know what to expect. They enter into the park and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. They're going all these rides. But what the interesting thing about humanity is by the 7th day, after going on hundreds of rides, you become like every single human on the planet. You become a connoisseur, you become a sommelier, you become a critic, right? At the end of the trip, after end of the 7 days, after doing 100 rides, you're like, my kids started they started smoking in line. They started criticizing the line. This too slow, this too bumpy. What's going on here? They became like, I don't know, government employees. They became hardened over time. Interesting human phenomenon, but had a great time. And actually, I know this podcast about dangerous ideas. I fundamentally believe that a life hack, one of the greatest hacks ever, and I learned this through, somebody told me this, after a keynote of mine, said you should vlog every family trip. Vlog every family trip. That is like the most dangerous idea I've ever heard. And it's an incredible idea because as you grow up, the kids will go back and take a look at how those trips were. And I vlogged our entire trip. The kids absolutely loved it. They keep rewatching it. And I feel like they're going to keep rewatching this. We've been actually doing this with other things, like just locally, just creating little family vlogs. And it's great. Kids can go back and watch it. So dangerous idea. So listen, let's get to the real dangerous ideas. And I love the episodes when I bring in other clips from other podcasts and some of the things that I've been listening to. And in this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a couple clips. I'm actually going to bring in my own clip as well, just to be like really meta about it. But this first clip is a very, very simple clip. And it's from the All In podcast. And they were interviewing Naval Ravikant. Now, Naval Ravikant is one of the co-founders of AngelList. He is also this generation's #1 philosopher. I feel like Naval has influenced so many people when it comes to life and business. There's a book called The Almanac of Naval, where it's just all his sayings, and for some reason he's become this incredible philosopher. But he was on the All In podcast, and Naval and David Sachs talking about AI, super simple concept. Let's drop the clip.
Again, I would say the easiest way to see that AI is not taking jobs but creating opportunities is go brush up on your AI, learn a little bit, watch a few videos, use the AI, tinker with it, and then go reapply for that job that rejected you and watch how they pull you in.
In 2023, an economist named Richard Baldwin said, AI won't take your job. It's someone using AI that will take your job because they know how to use it better than you. And that's kind of become a meme and you see it floating around X, but I think there's a lot of truth in that. You know, as long as you remain adaptive and you keep learning and you learn how to take advantage of these tools, you should do better.
Yeah, you know what? I love that. I love that Naval, and in this podcast, he keeps saying, like, listen, the greatest way to find a job today is to learn AI. Like, download all these different AI tools and figure them out. Figure out how you can add value to your organization and to yourself. That's the greatest way of getting recruited. If you want to excel in your career, if you want to upskill, learn these AI skills, and figure out some of these tools. Right now, this is the greatest arbitrage on the planet, which is learning some of these AI skills at the end of the day. AI is not the enemy. AI is not the enemy. I don't think that we should be fearful of AI. AI is not the enemy. What really is the enemy is ignorance and mediocrity. And the fact that we're not choosing to play with some of these tools, I think is going to be your biggest downfall. It's interesting. I don't think that AI is going to take jobs. I think the people that absolutely master these tools and become proficient in it will take the jobs of people that don't know AI. I mean, it's such a simple line, and I actually hate using it. I never use it in my keynotes or anything like that, but it's like, it's fact. It is the truth. So, the advice that I've been giving and many people have been giving is that you have to learn, right? And it's not about being early. It's not about being perfect. It's just about learning. It's about putting in the reps. It's about forward motion at the end of the day. And I obviously on this podcast, let me just silence my phone for a second. On this podcast, you know that I love AI. And the amount of innovations that are coming out right now in February of 2025 is absolutely bonkers. So Grok has been innovating around what they've been doing. They came out with a new model. They came out with a new voice mode. OpenAI with what they've been doing with deep research. I think deep research is like totally game changing. It's completely underhyped. So what deep research is, you give it a particular task and it will give you a 10,000 report of any topic that you want. It will search the internet. It'll give you the sources. The only reason I'm mentioning this is because when I was in management consulting, this was the majority of my job, which was doing this deep research. And the fact that AI can do this on the internet, I mean, it's just a matter of time where AI is going to be able to do this and provide this deep research within your internal organization. Go through all our documents and provide a deep research, combine the things that you see on the internet, combine our internal documents, and it will be there. All these AI tools, AI agent tools that have been coming out, from Lovable to Cursor to Replit, just complete insanity. And there are companies coming up all the time that are in this space. And I'm excited. I'm excited for people. And somebody that's in this AI space. Oh, Claude just came out with their new model, 3.7. Somebody that's in this space, I feel every single day that I am just losing ground in terms of what's happening. And I'm so excited about all the improvements and advancements in this space. So my advice to you is get curious about this. This is the next revolution. This is the next paradigm shift. This is the internet times 1,000. So if you want to get better at what you are doing, not only as a business person, but just as a human, you have to pick up these skills. Okay, so that's my rant on this. Okay, the second video is a really interesting video from somebody that has been mentioned many, many times on this podcast, which is Mr. Beast. And this clip was on the Diary of the CEO podcast with Stephen Bartlett. And he talked about what is required for greatness. I thought this was an interesting clip. Let's drop it.
If my mental health was a priority, I wouldn't be as successful as I am. I mean, that's just a sad fact. I obviously never would have buried myself alive for 7 days in solitary, 7 days on a deserted island, 7 days, blah, blah, blah. Being able to consistently suffer over long periods is arguably one of the deepest modes. There's a reason no one makes videos like me. Not even close, because no one wants to live the life I live. I think there was 1 year where I was flying 200 days. I was on a plane. I mean, it was a fuck fest, but to get these videos done. When I wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna be pretty fucking tired and feel like shit, something I always tell myself is, how you feel right now is why no one else does what you want to do or does what you do. And if you push through this, that's just even, more of a reason why no one will ever be who you are. And so it's I think being able to push through unhappiness and do things you don't want to do consistently year after year over the course of a decade is the ultimate advantage. I think we'll hit 1 billion subscribers, and I don't think anyone will be anywhere near close, because once you make a couple $1 million, why would you live the life I live? Like, why? Why would you not take weekends off? Why would you not just film locally, even if it means less views so you can be on the right time schedule? Why would you not, prioritize your sanity and that kind of stuff? It makes no sense, but that's why no one else does it.
I always love the TikTok at the end. By the way, I was like reading all the comments to this. This is an incredibly polarizing post and an incredibly polarizing conversation to have. By the way, today, Mr. Beast announced that he's raising for his entire company $5 billion. So he's valuing the Let me repeat that. Today, he has indicated that he's raising money and the company is getting valued at $5 billion. And that's the combination of his media company and all his different, CPG companies, whether it's Feastables or Lunchables and all these different things. $5 billion, Mr. Beast. Now, the reason why Mr. Beast's work ethic is so divisive is this idea that you have to suffer. The idea that you have to endure incredible depression and mental health to reach your end goals is obviously controversial. Like, nobody should put themselves in harm's way. Like, if you get 1 billion views and 1 billion comments and 1 billion shares, yet 1 billion people watch you suffer, like, is that worth it? I'm saying suffer in the sense that, like, you have depression, you hate your life. I fundamentally don't believe that that's, the way to live. But one of the things that he said, which I think is really profound and true, is the idea that the deepest moat is this willingness to endure. That the deepest moat is the willingness to endure. Now, if you don't know what a moat is, back in the day when they used to build castles, they would build this moat, this waterway that's in front of the castle in order to prevent attackers from coming into the castle. It was a defense mechanism. And the idea that the deepest moat is the willingness to endure is an incredible line. And if you think about it, anyone can learn skills, anyone can raise capital, anyone can hire talent. But the idea that you can go through and have the grit and perseverance to fulfill whatever you need, to fulfill whatever you want, is accurate. It is an incredibly deep moat. In a previous podcast, Adam O'Brien and I, we talked about this idea that insane people get insane results. And that is also, it's very similar to this. It's an incredibly difficult conversation, right? And, it's interesting. I was listening to a podcast of Nick Bilton on the My First Million podcast. And Nick has covered some incredible entrepreneurs throughout his time, just being in Silicon Valley, from one of his greatest books, which is Uncovering the Truth About Twitter, Hatching Twitter, one of my favorite books of all time, to meeting Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and all these incredible people. And on this podcast, was he asked, like, is anybody normal? Like, is anybody balanced? Can anybody really get it all right? And the answer is, especially at those higher echelon of people, even at, Steve Jobs, is that these extreme people do get extreme results. And of course, it comes with great sacrifice. So, Mr. Beast is correct. Like, not everyone can do what he does, right? You could see it in the clip. If you watch this the whole episode, he actually seems unhappy. And I've realized this about myself. Like, I also am somebody that pushes really hard, that is constantly working, that is somebody that's ambitious, that wants to, make an impact in this world, make a dent in this universe. But I also really love having, an amazing relationship with my family and friends, and having an amazing relationship with the people around me. And I don't think that I'm willing to sacrifice everything for the money or the legacy at the end of the day. At the end of the day, like I want to work as hard as I can, and probably more than most people, and sacrifice a lot, but I don't want to sacrifice everything. And in this clip, Mr. Beast is all in. It's inspiring, but it's also depressing. That's why I want to bring up this clip, because it's inspiring to see people like Kobe Bryant and Mr. Beast talk about that Mamba mentality and be incredibly focused around what they're doing, and be incredibly, have brute force in terms of everything that they do. But also it comes with a cost, and you also have to ask yourself, at what cost? Is it going to cost my marriage, my kids, my health, my mental health at the end of the day? I think a counterpoint to all of this is that maybe we should just all work a little smarter. My brother-in-law, he's incredibly successful. I think he just works smarter. He's got an incredible amount of wealth. He's done very well for himself. His companies have been very successful, and he's really chill. And I think it's because he's made smart decisions. And he hasn't done it through absolute brute force. He's actually done it in making very wise, strategic decisions. And so that's another way of going about it. So I love that clip, and because it's controversial. All right, in this next clip, I am actually bringing in a clip of myself. I'm going to be watching a clip of myself because I got this question in my Q&A recently when I was in Grand Prairie, and I would love to expand on my answer because in a Q&A you don't have the opportunity to really think about it and just dissect it and just give more thoughts on it. So let's drop the clip.
This is fun, by the way, Tom. Yeah. I'm liking this.
You had vaguely brought up in your thing about how when we think about AI, we think about a lot about how it's just students in universities using it to cheat in college. Now, someone who works at a university as well as attends the university, I'm curious what you think would be a positive or a blessing to have AI within our universities.
Yeah.
Where it's rather not students cheating, but however, what ways that we can use AI to be a positive.
Love that question. Love that question. I'm incredibly bullish about higher institutions. I think higher education is an incredibly important playground for people to learn about themselves, to develop networks. I think social capital, human capital is going to become disproportionately more important to the idea of community in this AI world. So that's going to be important. But I fundamentally believe that the way that people learn is going to fundamentally change. To me, it's not about memorization or facts. It's like, I don't want my kids to just know the facts about the Civil War. I want them to know the underlying reasons as to why it happened. Why do we do what we do? It's about human behavior. It's asking those deep questions. It's about being better problem solvers. And that's what I'm hoping that universities can teach a lot more. And of course, I know we've been trying to push away in many institutions this AI revolution, but it's like, how do we get them to get enabled around this? How do we use all these tools around them? And it's going to change every single day. So two things. Number one, it's like, how do we become better humans? How do we ask better questions? How do we work together as human beings in more intimate ways? And then also, how do we get better at some of these tools? And so that we can produce people that are fit for the future. Now, my kids are younger. Right? They're 8, 5, and 2. And people ask me all the time, what are you going to do with your kids when it comes to this education system? And the answer is, I have no idea. I'm trying to figure it out just like you. This space is changing every single day, and I have no idea. But my belief is that if we all are experimenting, trying, having these types of conversations, having these provocative conversations, the more that we can move forward. So I appreciate that question.
So I get this question a lot, right? Which is about what are we going to do with our kids? This woman asking this question, she is in higher education. So she's asking, what is important to learn? What should we be prioritizing in school? And I say this with sincerity, is that I don't know. I am not an educator. That is not my expertise. But what I will say is, from a lens of a father, is I absolutely believe that higher education is not about facts. It's about developing human skills, critical thinking, cultivating relationships, building social capital. These traits will become more valuable and disproportionately more important in an AI world. And that I believe to be true. I believe that you should be learning these AI tools. Absolutely. I just, talked about Naval and David Sachs talking about the fact that, listen, the person that's going to take a job is a person that understands AI. Absolutely. Understanding the AI skills and developing a curiosity around that is important. But by the way, it's not just AI. At some point, there's going to be new technologies going to be coming out. And it's like, whatever new technology that is, we all have to learn it and become proficient with it. That's going to be a base level skill. But for me, for universities in this AI world, I think the opportunity lies in understanding, how do we ask deeper questions? How do we become better problem solvers? How do we become better at collaborative thinking and reasoning? How do we teach students how to develop AI? How do we get them to be students of not only AI, but what's happening in the culture? Like, the world is changing every single day. Like, a marketing book from the 1990s is going to be largely irrelevant for 2025 today. The professors that are teaching a particular skill set of the 90s is not going to be relevant in 2025. I mean, we were just talking right before this conversation about what we're going to be doing around marketing. And, over the last 10 years, it's really been about followers and follower count and likes and comments and leveraging social media, where a lot of the new age, companies and brands, they're using an approach where they're like, social media is dead. What's more important is this interest media, right? So creating content that actually can resonate with people, where it's not all about following. So anyways, all this to say is that every domain is changing. And the thing that I want to expand on, especially when it comes to higher education, listen, part of the reason why I went to university is because not only was that wasn't even a question, okay? That wasn't even an option growing up, if I'm going to go to university or not. It was not even it was just part of, are you going to wake up and wear a shirt? Going to university was just ingrained in our DNA. We were absolutely going to do that. Just being from a South Asian household, of course, you're going to get higher education. Part of the value of higher education is that it is a incredible signal. And it still is an incredible signal today. It's the idea that this person is vetted, that this person was tapped on the shoulder, that this person went through the hoops of university. This person is part of the club. We all understand throughout society, when somebody is from a particular institution, we understand that they've gone through the rigor, and that is an incredible signal. Now, it will remain incredible signal, I believe, but the general framework of higher education is collapsing. And this idea that you're going to be incredibly successful after coming out of college or university, and you're going to get a great job and a great career coming out of those institutions, that era is over. I mean, you're already seeing statistics of how hard it is for MBAs to find a job after getting their degree. You're finding all these articles of people foregoing going to McKinsey and buying, working with other people to buy companies in nostalgic industries. The traditional framework of what people do after university, that is fundamentally changing. And I believe that in a world where higher education is getting disrupted by AI, that the new signals of what's going to be important is proof. So there's 4 things here. Proof of work. Like, show me what you've built. I don't care about what your university degree says. I want to know what you built. And it could be around a business, a nonprofit, a club, activities, an event, whatever you might have built. Show me what you built. Number 2 is proof of help. Show me that you've helped others. Show me how you've helped your community. Show me how you've helped your parents, your friends, your customers. Show me who you've helped. Proof of learning. Show me that you're continuously evolving. Show me that you are continuously learning. It's not just what you're learning in school, but are you listening to podcasts? Are you listening to audiobooks? Are you listening to YouTube? What's on your Google, your Google Chrome feeds? Are you in the Discords? Are you continuing to learn and just improve yourself? And I think the last thing is prove me that you can think. Prove to me that you can ask deeper questions. Prove to me that you can ask the critical questions. Prove to me that you disagree with what I'm saying. I think these are the new signals that we need. And I think that these signals will be a lot more important than a signal that I came from Yale, I came from Harvard, I came from Stanford. I would rather hire somebody that had all this proof than just the certification. And my belief is that more and more institutions and organizations are going to believe that. Now, I did say that the universities, there'll still be a signal. Like, it's still a signal at the end of the day. It's funny because, like, when I would say 10 years ago, people would ask me, will your kids go to university? And at that point, 10 years ago, I said, you know what? I think this higher education system is getting disrupted. I'm not sure. But now, even saying all of this, I'm actually more bullish about higher education because I think that there are very few opportunities where you can learn about yourself. You can learn how to make a friend. You can learn how to make love to a partner. Those coming of age like rituals are incredibly important in university. The network building, the ability to build human and social capital, to meet like-minded people in a institution, I think it's incredible because once you're done university, you don't have those networks. You don't have those opportunities to build. Like some of my best friends in the world I met them in university, right? You're working on something difficult together. Maybe it's meaningless. Maybe you're not learning anything out of it, but you're learning you're making a friend, you're learning new skills in those ways. And so would I send my kids to university? I think I still would. Just nothing not for the knowledge, but for the ability to meet with others, to build to collaborate, to build different skills, to learn how to problem solve, to learn about yourself, to make a friend, to make groups of friends. Like that to me is actually an incredibly important skill. And so I also hope that my kids also do all those other, learn those other new signals, proof of work and proof of learning and all those things. So I still believe that higher education is important, but it is getting disrupted by AI because the vast majority of higher education institutions, their tests are based on memorization and facts. And actually, it's not even higher ed, like just traditional school is based on that. And so we're going to get disrupted. And my belief is that more and more educators need to be proficient in AI and understand that this is what parents want. I'm not just speaking for myself. I would argue that many parents want the same thing as me. And I only know that because of some of the conversations that I'm having with parents. So let's keep on going. Just some quick social media things. so today, guys, you got to know something about me. I'm in the depths of like the internet, and whether it comes to business or finance or entertainment, media, culture, one of the fascinating rabbit holes that I want to get into more is the Sam Sulek rabbit hole. Now, if you don't know who Sam Sulek is a kid who in 2023 started his bodybuilding journey on YouTube. And as of today, I think he has about 4 million followers on YouTube. He's got 7 million followers on IG. And the reason why Sam has been really interesting is that he's been really authentic with how he's been documenting his journey. Like since 2023, showcasing how he works out. Like he literally shows the whole workout. He literally shows him breathing in between sets. And he's describing his eating, he's describing his fitness. And what's wild is that today, Sam Sulek he won his, he entered into his first bodybuilding competition, the NPC Legends Classic. And now he's in the amateur Arnold Classic, like the Arnold. It's like one of the biggest bodybuilding competitions in the world. And so the results are coming out today. And listen, I'm not a Sam Sulek diehard fan, but the very idea that this guy that you have been following since 2023 and documenting his journey to not only winning his last competition last week, but going to the Arnold's and completely transforming his body and his career. I mean, what an incredible ride, not only for Sam Sulek, but for the people that are watching. And so I think the reason why people love this bodybuilder, and you can go check him out later as well, is that he's incredibly authentic, he's transparent, and he's gained an incredible following. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I fundamentally believe that this is the new way that you're going to build incredible creators and founders and entrepreneurs. Like if Sam Sulek, and I don't even know what he's, if he sells anything, but if he came out with like a protein something, a protein shake, a protein, whatever, like people go off and buy it. And because he has built so much affinity in this fitness world that if he came out with a fitness brand, people would just like gobble it up. And it's this idea that creators are becoming the new entrepreneurs. And I just love that. I love when you follow somebody throughout their history and then you see them achieve incredible things. And one of my favorite things to do is to go back to the YouTube comments of like older videos and people commenting like, I'm going to remember when I commented this when you blow up. I saw this incredible clip. I wish I clipped it out for this thing. Maybe I'll do it in post, where Gary Vee is talking to DOGE, who's one of the best rappers on the planet today. And he was predicting that she would be like one of the biggest stars on the planet because of the work ethic and the talent at the end of the day and the fact that she's so different.
I just think you are going to be literally one of the most successful recording artists in the next 5 years. I just think you're going to be very, very, very known. This little session will be something that you will reference in 44 months. Why? Because DOGE is gonna give an insane performance at the Grammys or have the song that everybody on earth is talking about.
Can I ask you something, Gary?
Yes, you can.
What is it that makes you believe that?
What I felt. Your originality is what struck me.
Wanted it to feel like I let you in my diary, you know?
Correct. That's exactly what it is. Everyone, please check out this incredible young superstar's music.
And the fact that she won her Grammy and, she's one of the top selling artists on the planet today. She's one of the best artists in the planet. Like, that is incredible, right? I love seeing that. I love going to old YouTube videos and seeing people like, I was here first. I can't wait till you blow up. So congratulations to Sam Sulek, somebody that I've been following off and on for a very long time, and just like watching. I'm not even into bodybuilding, but just to see his rise. Very, very cool. All right. So the next sort of current news event that I'd love to talk about is the controversy around DOGE. So we've mentioned DOGE in this podcast before. DOGE is the Department of Governmental Efficiency. When Donald Trump came into power, he put Elon at the head of DOGE. And I'm really not sure why this is getting all the attention, a lot of attention. Maybe it's because Elon is at the head of DOGE, and he's been tweeting a lot about it on X. And the media loves to take things that are happening on X and then reporting them out to the general public. And this actually should not be a news story. The Department of Governmental Efficiency is something that many governments actually do. In fact, I was part of a DOGE team. Sean Kanungo was part of a DOGE team for the government of Alberta over 10 years ago. And in the government of Alberta, they called it the results-based budgeting team. And so what I would do is I would go to different departments and review these programs and services to make sure that they're relevant, efficient, and effective. And so let me tell you, from my experience, what it's like to be part of a DOGE team. It's incredibly difficult. It's incredibly hard. I think one of the things that DOGE is getting criticized for is its inaccuracies. And I will just list out the fact that, there's two sides to this, right? There's the DOGE side, which is they're trying to be completely transparent, right? They're trying to showcase all their savings. If you go to the doge.gov website, I think it's actually incredible. The website is incredible because they're trying to be transparent around their savings, what they're finding. They're tweeting it out, every day. They're showing you a list of things. It's like a Google Excel sheet of all the things that they find. I mean, that level of transparency should be applauded. Now, there have been some discrepancies in terms of what they've been finding. And there are some critiques on the fact that DOGE is really targeting things that are, that are battling certain ideologies, which could be fair. There are reports that DOGE they're reporting inflated savings. I think they've made some errors, some inaccuracies. I think once they said the contract was $8 billion when really it was $8 million. So that's a massive discrepancy. There's been some incorrect contract terminations. There's been some outdated data and errors. So I believe in all that too, right? So I believe in both sides. I can take a look at this from both sides, saying that DOGE is incredibly valuable because they're being incredibly transparent. And at the same time, they've been inaccurate. And a lot of things that they have been finding have not been true. So I actually believe both sides. And I think there's we're not in the underbelly of what DOGE is finding. So I can only garner from what I'm seeing from the website and what I'm reading from DOGE and what the media is reporting, who obviously they are incredibly biased against Elon, so they will obviously say negative things. And part of being in the media is putting out clickbait and saying how they've been wrong. So there's a fog of, I call it the fog of war right now, which is it's really not the fog of war, but it's just a fog, right? We don't know what's true or not. But going back to the fact that I was part of a DOGE team, the one thing that we never had, and we were contracted to help assess some of these programs and services if they were relevant and effective and efficient. The problem that we had is that we never had a voice. We never had a powerful voice that could go off and enact those particular decisions. What we would have to do is go get into the underbelly of these departments, and for like 6 months, we would have to assess and do interviews and workshops and grab their data. It was incredibly inefficient. And by the way, when we surfaced all our recommendations, we'd have to go through all these different levels of bureaucracy and hierarchy to actually get to the right people. And to be honest with you, I don't think that much was done with those recommendations because the client was always pushing back on the severity of those recommendations and how provocative they were. And so, of course, it makes sense when the client is really, when the government is helping to write up the reports, they're going to be more favorable to their own departments. And so I think the approach that DOGE is taking, which is a brute force approach, which is being a transparent approach, in some ways that's working because being on the other side, I don't think that results-based budgeting approach, I don't think it worked. So that's my perspective. I think it's an incredible thing. I think there is a lot of fat. There is a lot of waste within government. And I think it's prudent for everyone to take a look at government and say, hey, how can we make things more efficient? How can we make things more effective? Are we actually achieving the outcomes that we want from this particular group? That should be a bipartisan argument. That shouldn't even be. And the fact that, and I've had some conversations with some friends about this, they hate Elon. And listen, I think, and I've been very transparent on this podcast, there are bad people on this planet, right? There are people that are misogynistic, that are racist, that are looking for their own, they're looking at their own power. Elon probably falls in that camp. He is probably somebody that is a narcissist. He does say some things that are incredibly odd and weird and awkward, and I agree with all of that. But the idea that he's doing this because he's getting something like incredible out of it, he has been on the right side of history, like moving things forward for a while now. Whether it's through Tesla and literally moving the electric vehicle world forward and trying to create a more sustainable future, absolutely. What he's been doing with SpaceX, what he's been doing with Starlink, I mean, I can't even tell you Starlink and the amount of benefit that has been for the entire world. OpenAI, being one of the co-founders of OpenAI and creating this, at least the chance for OpenAI to create these incredible innovations. Like, we wouldn't have all these things if it wasn't for Elon. And I will take the 51% of what Elon is doing to move the world forward, and maybe the 49% of him being a terrible person. I'll take it because at the end of the day, the world needs to move forward. And I know this is an incredibly divisive take because a lot of people hate Elon. My problem is that we can't have this conversation in two ways, right? People will say Elon and automatically be like, DOGE, that's terrible. I don't want to even think about it. People will say the word Elon and they will just naturally just shut down every conversation. How can we cannot have a nuanced conversation? How can we can't? I don't understand it. And just because you hate somebody doesn't mean that they're not doing things that are right, or they're not doing things that are accurate. There's some incredibly powerful things that the people that you don't like that are saying things that might be valuable. And we have to be able to pull those, we have to be able to have those discussions. I always bring up my mother. I love my mother. She's great. Listen, some of the things that she says may be considered racist or misogynistic or whatever. I still love her. I'm still going to help her. I'm still going to spend time with her. I understand the context of where she came from. We all have to be better at this. So I guess the other thing that was really divisive is that there was a question that Elon wanted to ask, which is, what did you get done this week? Now, this seems to be a very divisive question, and this went out to all the federal government employees around what did you do this week? what did you get done this week? And, you know, I think if you asked, you know, listen, I'm not going home to my wife and asking, hey, what did you accomplish this week? I think the framing of it is rude. It is a rude question, but it's not a bad question to ask. In every business that I've worked in, every week we have to literally put in to a point form. If you work in a billable hours, if you're in law, if you're in consulting, if you're in, you know, in professional services and accounting, you literally have to document what you did every single day because you are charging a client for that particular work. Now, for the federal government, they're doing the same thing. They are charging taxpayers every single day around the work that they're doing. So I don't think it's a bad question to ask. Now, the framing of it is bad. Like I said, the framing of it is bad. I'm not going to go to my wife and ask her what she did for the week, okay? I'm not going to go to my friends and say, hey, what did you achieve this week? I'm not going to do that. But you can say, hey, I'd love to know what you've been working on. What has you excited? You know, maybe I would frame it a little differently. So it's hilarious. And I think that, you know, the world is always going to be looking for clickbait. They're looking for headlines. I don't understand why the Department of Governmental Efficiency has become a topic of conversation. I wish it was a topic of conversation when we were going through the results-based budgeting approach in the government of Alberta. I wish the work that we were doing actually became a topic of conversation because maybe we could actually get some stuff done. All right. Thank you for rocking with me. This is another episode of Dangerous Ideas. Listen, you're not going to agree with everything on this podcast, but this is just me venting. I'm trying to create a platform where I'm being vulnerable and I'm sharing my thoughts with you, and that's just it. So I appreciate you guys rocking with me. This is another episode of Dangerous Ideas, and we'll see you guys on the next one.